Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play a beautiful fingerpicking tune that he wrote, which we're going to call Blue Skies. Now, this is a very beginner-friendly piece, and I think it's actually a great entry into playing fingerstyle type of music. And there's a couple reasons why. The first one is that this piece breaks you away from playing only here in the beginning of the neck. Lots of beginner songs stick only in these first few frets. And instead, you're going to be playing pretty far up the neck. So that's really cool. And that's something you see a lot in chord melody and fingerstyle type of tunes. But secondly, this is a great tune for using multiple fingerpicking approaches. So you could play this song using just the thumb, so your thumb gets all of the action. Or what I'd recommend is a 4-finger approach. So you assign a finger per string, which makes it very efficient to play. You could even use a 3-finger approach, so your thumb would get double duty, and then your index would get string 2. Middle will get string 1. If you're new to using multiple finger picking approaches and knowing which one to use based off of what you're playing, then I'd highly encourage you to check out our finger picking concepts course. Lots of exercises for all 3 approaches and performance tunes. Anyways, let's jump back into talking about this song. Now, as far as this lesson is concerned, you're going to learn the entire song in this video, but if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, that's going to be available at this link. Or you can go to the site, rockclass101.com, and do a search for Blue Skies. Now, also on that page will be the on-screen tab viewer. So this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this, and then I'll see you at the end of the video.
Today we're going to work on a song that I actually wrote for this lesson. I tried to make a beginner-friendly fingerpicking tune that also utilizes 2 of the ukulele strings, both the G and the C strings, open the whole time, just to create this sort of different sound. So let's go ahead and dive right into probably the hardest part of the song, which is just measure 1, and that's just because of the timing that's used here. This is a syncopated rhythm, which means there's an accent on an offbeat, and before you run away because it sounds so scary, the best way to learn this is really to just listen and get the feel. So we're going to start with the muscle memory from the fretting hands perspective, and we'll talk a little bit about the timing. But if you can get the comfort of knowing where to put your fingers, you can trust how you can hear it and play along with the performance, and you'll have it in no time. To start, we're going to play this sort of C chord by placing our middle finger here on the 8th fret of the E string and our index finger here to the 7th fret of the A string. Now, for the finger picking technique here, you can use either 3-finger or 4-finger picking. You'll notice I use 4 just because that's what I prefer, but this song will work with either technique. I'm going to play the open C string. Then I'm going to play the 8 and the 7 together 3 times in a row. And the timing on that is really straightforward. It's 1 and 2 and 3. Really straightforward. But this next sort of hit is what's sort of interesting. Now, to fret this next hit, what we're going to do is we're going to slide our index finger down to 5 on the A string, and we're going to add our ring finger to the 7th fret of the E string, so that we have that 7 and 5. And we're going to pluck those 2 strings, the E and A, together. But the timing on this is a little funny because it's not on a number or on an and. If you look, we have the first hit, 1 and then we have 2 and 3, then and We're playing this on and crazy, right? But this is what creates the really nice sound of this. This is played on and then we just take this same shape and we slide it down 2 frets for the 5 with the ring finger on the E string and the 3 on the A with the index, and play that on and of 4. And so it sounds something like this. Again, it sounds so daunting, right? With that syncopation, it looks so daunting, but here's what it sounds like. It's not that complicated to listen to, right? So here it is in time with a count off. I'm going to do it a little bit slower than that. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then as we go into measure 2 now, we're going to play a normal everyday C chord, but we're going to use our index finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string. We're going to pluck our C, E, and A. And it's all smooth sailing on this measure because all that we do from here is play our G, C, E, A, G, C, E to finish out this measure. So it's literally just running 8th notes on a C chord. Much easier than that first measure. That should sound something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so here that you can hear it, this is measures now 1 and 2 played together. 2 and 3 and 4 and. As we go on to measure 3, luckily, measure 3 is exactly the same as measure 1. So that difficult measure, it's going to repeat again and again and again and again. And once you have it down, you got it down. So we're going to play measure 3 the same as 1. And then measure 4, exactly the same as measure 2. So measures 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are exactly identical, which is so helpful given how difficult that first measure was, right? I promise it's a beginner-friendly piece despite that craziness at the start. So measures 3 and 4 sound something like this, which you'll notice sound just like 1 and 2. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to measure 5 now. The rhythm's pretty straightforward. We're going to be playing on every single one of those 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and hits, but we're going to move to what's called an F add 9 chord. To do this, just take your index finger and place it on the 1st fret of the E string, and then you're going to pluck your C, E, and A together. Then G, C, E. Then you're going to add the 2nd fret on the A string with the middle finger, pluck that. G, C, E. That's all of measure 5. In time, that should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going right into 6, you're going to continue holding this. You're going to add your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string and pluck that. G, C, E. And then you're going to reach your pinky all the way up to 5 on the A. So that might be a little bit of a stretch, and that's okay. It's okay for your fingers to not be perfectly straight with this. You'll notice I kind of curve them a little bit just to squeeze those fingers into position. That's all okay. We're gonna pluck that 5 on the A, open on the G, C, and the 1 on the E still. So measure 6 should sound something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And 5 and 6 should sound like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going right into 7. 7 is exactly the same in every way as measure 5. Exactly identical. No difference, which, God, I love repetition, right? Makes life so easy because you learn it once and you use it twice or more. Makes life easy. So let's go ahead and hear what 7 sounds like. Should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we go on to 8, and 8 starts the same as measure 6 with the 3 on the A. But then it's different. We're going to play open on the G, open on the C, and then open on the G again. We're going to take fingers as we play that open on the G, that last one on measure 8. We're going to move our ring finger up to 7 on the E string and our index to 5 on the A string and pluck those two for this little G chord. So that looks like this in time, measure 8. 2 and 3 and 4 and. We just hold that through that measure. So here's what 7 and 8 should sound like. Something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And now at this point, it actually repeats and it goes back to the beginning of the song. This is the completion of that melody A. So let's go ahead and hear all of melody A with the repeat played so that you can hear it. And again, if you're struggling with that first measure with that syncopation, just listen really closely to like the performance at the beginning of the video. See if you can get that feel, because truthfully, it's a lot harder to internalize 16th note syncopation through counting that is to just sort of listen and get that feel. So it sounds something like this, starting at measure 1, going through measure 8, and then doing that repeat. So this is the whole A section with its repeat. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Repeat. Now at this point, after you've repeated it, we go on to melody B. But before we do that, one little note is, what if you accidentally play like an open G when you should have played an open C, or vice versa or something like that when you're going through it? Well, there's a lot of these filler notes in the song. It's not a big deal if they're not all perfect, which I know, right? But it's okay. In fact, I think in that performance, I think I played an open G instead of an open E at the end of measure 2. And you might have noticed that, you might not have, but that's kind of the point. These are filler notes. So it's okay to try different things and have some fun as you're working through it. Definitely want to always check the music, make sure you're on the right track. But as long as you're filling in the right amount of time, you can get away with some fun, different stuff with it. But let's go on to melody B. Well, melody B is exactly the same as melody A, at least to start. It's measure 9, sounds something like this. You'll notice it's the same as measure 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Exactly the same. But as we go on to measure 10 now, it's going to be the same picking pattern that we played on measure 2, but instead of taking this ring finger off the 5 on the E and play all open with the 3 for the C chord, we're going to hold that 5 on the E to play this kind of A minor 7 chord. We're going to pluck the C, E, and A together with the 5 on the E and the 3 on the A still. And then we're going to play G, C, E, A, G, C, E, which is the same pattern we played earlier on measure 2. So measure 10 in time should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And measures 9 and 10 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. You hear it kind of holds this minor feel, and that's what's starting this melody B section. What's cool though is when you go on to measure 11 is exactly the same as measure 9, 2 and 3 and 4 and. And measure 12 is exactly the same as measure 10, 2 and 3 and 4 and. And those two together, 11 and 12, sound just the same as 9 and 10, which is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Oof, that was bad. You hear that buzz I got? The reason for that is kind of holding the ukulele up, and it's easy to lose track of it. So if you're struggling with getting some buzzing just like I did there, one thing that can be helpful is make sure that your ukulele is sort of resting on your thigh, just like this, to kind of hold it up, or use a strap. That way, if you find that you kind of drop the uke a little bit, you won't get those nasty buzzes like I just did. But anyways, let's go ahead and now look at measure 13. Measure 13 is a little bit different. In fact, going through this next section is, you could call it almost like the bridge of the song because it's so different. We're going to hold that 5 and 3 on the E and A respectively, so the ring finger on the 5th fret of the E string, index on the 3rd fret of the A. We're going to pluck our C, E, and A strings all together. G, C, E, and then we're going to play A on the 5th fret with the pinky finger there. And then G, C, E. So that measure 13, you just hold that and you add that pinky on 5. Should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going into 14, this is a little bit of a tricky part. You're going to slide that pinky up to 7 on the A string while maintaining the ring finger on 5 of the E. And you're going to play the A string. G, C, E, and then you're going to slide that pinky back down to 5 on the A string. G, C, E. So that sounds something like this in time on 14. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And 13 and 14 sound something like this together. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to 15, 15 is actually kind of a theme and variation. And what that means is it's actually exactly the same as 13 and 14 in terms of the rhythm and the strings that are played, but the notes that are being fretted are going to change a little bit. And what's going to happen here is we're going to this sort of A flat chord. You could call it an F minor. There's a couple different names you can give it, but we're going to play 4 on the E string with 3 on the A. So middle finger is going to be here on 4 on the E, index here on 3 of the A. We're going to play our C, E, and A together. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Then we're going to play G, C, E, and then we're going to play A on the 5th fret. So the ring finger goes up here, 5 on the A. Then G, C, E. So measure 15 in time, something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going right into 16, keep holding this, add the pinky on 6 of the A, and then G, C, E, and then take that pinky off for 5 on the A, G, C, E. So 16 is something like this, 2 and 3 and 4 and... And 15 and 16, which honestly my favorite part of the song. I just love the sound of this chord. Sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then we go on to measure 17 now. Returns to a familiar place. That's going to actually be exactly the same as measure 5, what we did before. So just as a quick recap, index finger on the 1st fret of the E string for that sort of F add 9. Strike the C, E, and A together. G, C, E, A, G, C, E. In time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Oh, I moved right along, getting too excited, into 18, which starts the same as what we play on previous measures, such as measure 6. Starts with a 3 on the A. And then you're going to play open on the G, open on the C, open on the G again. And then you move up to that little G chord, which is just the ring finger on 7 of the E and the index on 5 of the A. You'll notice that's actually identical to measure 8. In time, it sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And so that we can hear the pair, it sounds something like this. And again, that's exactly the same as like measures 7 and 8. Measures 5, 7, and 17 are all the same. It's pretty cool. 2 and 3 and 4 and... So let's hear the whole B section, because after this we go back into our kind of A section. But here's the whole B, so measures 9 through 18. Should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And now what's so exciting is it goes right back into our A. And measure 19, exactly the same as measure 1. Exactly the same. In time, that's 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going into measure 20, exactly the same as measure 2. In time, 2 and 3 and 4 and... And so that we can hear 19 and 20 together, which is the same as 1 and 2. Should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going into 21, exactly the same as 19. In time, that's 2 and 3 and 4 and... And measure 22, probably the easiest measure of the whole song. We just have that 3 on the A string with our index finger and we pluck all 4 strings at the same time to finish the song. So in time, that one is 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... But let's hear 21 and 22. Should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And let's go ahead and hear that whole ending, that last section A. So measures 19, 20, and 21, and 22. Should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And there you have it. Now I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's really hard to do that syncopation, especially really slow. You might even watch like me kind of struggle getting that timing right at this speed. And the reason is because I have it internalized at the speed that I sort of wrote it at. And when you're learning this song, when you develop the muscle memory so that you know where your fingers should go, it's okay to trust your natural sense of rhythm and timing to get that sounding correct. So what I recommend, the best way to learn that weird syncopated line that's on measure 1 and 3 and 9 and 11 and 19 and 21, I think those are all the places that syncopated pattern exists, is listen to the performance video and kind of play along with that as you get comfortable so that you can get that timing just right, because it's just sounds good, right? And you want to emulate that sort of sound. So as always, if you have any questions with this, feel free to comment down below. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time for the next lesson here on Rock Class 101. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, so this week's ukulele lesson was a ton of fun, a great beginner-friendly finger-picking piece, and I really think it's a great intro into playing that finger style, that chord melody type of playing, because it broke you away from playing only here in the beginning of the neck, and it gave you options. You could use different approaches for finger picking. We talked about thumb, 3-finger, and 4-finger approach, and friendly reminder, if you want to jump into those and learn tons of exercises and songs that use each approach, I'll put a link in the description box below for our course on just that. So I do want to give you a friendly reminder too for this lesson. If you wanted to get the tabs to print and keep for your records, that was available at this link, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for blue skies. And don't forget too, on that page was the really cool interactive on-screen tab player. So you can literally hit play, you can watch that tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down, all that fun jazz. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.